My interpretation of socialism can be summed up fairly simply. Basically, it is an assurance that nobody will go without basic human needs, which are provided to everyone on an equal basis from the government, including food allowance, all medical care, housing, etc., but still encourages aspirations of personal wealth, whereby the companies that provide goods and services are owned by those who put effort into the continued success of the company, based on the level of skill and the amount of work put in, not just how much money was spent to gain shares. It still allows for capitalist economics. People will be able to spend their money where they choose and encourage innovation and quality of service, but nobody will be required to do without. It would require much higher tax rates than we have currently, but much of that would come back to those on the lower end of things through food, housing, medicine, etc.
So, arguments such as, if we were a socialist society, well then I'd have no reason to do better than you, I'd have no reason to want to be a rock star or a football hero. They believe it involves government redistributing wealth to the poor. Am I correct in assuming that socialism is the same as anarchy, where no leader is present, and everything is chaos?
No, that is a common misconception. There's no reason not to have leadership. The distribution of basic needs, enforcement and creation of law, etc. must still be maintained, as we as a species have not reached a point where compassion and honesty are the default. It does not, however, mean that the government should have control over what we do with ourselves or our personal wealth, or even the money allocated for needs. If I want to take my food stamp card to the grocery store and buy $300 worth of imported cheese, fine. If I want to spend my housing allowance to augment the payment on a gold-plated shed on a cliff top, so be it. What the government in my ideal society should do is this: ensure that nobody goes needy. Ensure that nobody has been grossly deceived or mistreated by individuals or corporations, mentally, physically, and fiscally. Ensure that all who can do so are making a good faith effort at being productive members of society, and ensuring a reasonable quality of life for those who cannot.
Is a grocery store which is employee-owned socialist in nature?
The concept of employee ownership is always socialistic on some level, depending on how the concept is executed. It may be that every employee has a stock option that is given no matter what, or it could be that they are actually registered as part owners of the corporation in capacities and percent ownerships based on position, tenure, and average time worked in that tenure.
Would it be wrong to say capitalism and socialism are not opposed, but complementary to one another? Like, it is not either this or that, it is more of the two working together.
Your complementary analogy, that's exactly correct. The dichotomy from capitalism is communism, which is often confused with socialism, where everything is owned by the government and personal wealth may or may not be attainable, but is far less common and often associated with people of political import, and the rest of the non-politically involved public all have about the same, regardless of skill, career, work ethic, and other factors which lead to a general sense of being better off in a truly socialist society.
So, socialism would say, as it is related intrinsically to capitalism to the millionaire, good for you, you deserve what you worked for. Yet we are the people as well. And our government should be run for the people by the people. All the people. George Washington warned us against partisanship, claiming it would destroy our Constitution. If socialist ideologies were in play, would you say that factions would be less bordered? The political parties' lines would fade?
I would hope that in time they would, and that leadership would be elected based on merit and leadership skill, because society could come to a consensus on what's better for everyone, but that's probably a while off too.
That is incredible. I always thought that socialism was evil. Now I see that the Republican fascists were trying to take away my freedoms by tricking me into thinking you were taking them. Thank you for setting my mind free.